can you correct the mistake in this sentence and 10 other common intermediate grammar mistakes? Let's find out in today's lesson. Hello and welcome to another lesson. My name's Alex. In today's lesson, we're going to look at 10 common intermediate grammar mistakes. They're mistakes with tenses, forms, and structures. So I'm going to give you 10 sentences, and in each one there's a mistake. I want you to spend some time thinking about it and try to correct the mistake. I'll then show you the correct sentence and talk to you a little bit about what the error in each one was. Now, before we look at these sentences, please remember to subscribe to my channel and like this video at any point during it if you feel like you're getting some benefit from it. I really appreciate that. Also, remember to follow me on social media and think about joining my Facebook group, Learn English with Alex. Okay, so let's dive in and have a look at the first sentence.
Okay, so here is our first sentence. I'm not believing that you cooked this meal by yourself. So there's a mistake in here. Can you spot what it is? Have a look at the sentence and try to figure out what the mistake is here. So as you can see, the mistake was with believe. I don't believe you cooked this meal by yourself, because believe is a state verb, so we don't normally use that in a continuous tense. Other state verbs are belong, forget, hate, like, love, mean, etc. And our next sentence, they will get married in June. So here in this one, you should focus on future tenses and think about the different types of future that we express in English. So the question is will the best way to talk about the future in this case? And the answer is, of course, no. For an arrangement like this, a future arrangement, it's much better to use present continuous with a future meaning. So they are getting married in June, not they will get married in June, because the arrangements have been made, and that's why we use present continuous in this case. Our next sentence with a mistake. I've been there when I was a child. I've been there when I was a child. So what do you think could be the mistake here? I've been there when I was a child. Okay, so focus on the tenses. Try to think what the mistake is in this case. So the correct sentence is I went there when I was a child. So remember, if we say when, like in this case, even though it's not an exact date, we need to use past simple and not present perfect. So I went there when I was a child, not I've been there when I was a child, like in the incorrect sentence. And it's because we are saying when I was a child. It's only the past. And our next sentence, I've been learning English since 8 years. I've been learning English since 8 years. So have a look at the sentence and think, what could be the mistake? It's a small mistake here. I'll give you that clue. So what do you think it is? What's the mistake? So of course, it should be, I've been learning English for 8 years, because we use for when we're talking about duration. For 8 years, for 10 years, things like that, for 2 weeks. But if we want to talk about a time in the past, we use since. So I've been learning English since 2012. I've been learning English since this time last year. And our next sentence. This is the worst match I've ever seen. This is the worst match I've ever seen. What do you think is the mistake here? I'll give you a clue, and this is not about tense. It's about something else. So the correct sentence is, this is the worst match I've ever seen. So worst is a superlative, but worse is a comparative. So because we're talking about one thing here, the worst match I've ever seen, we need to use the superlative. If you want to compare two things, you can use the comparative, worse. But in this case, we're singling this out as the worst. And what about this sentence? The women usually talk more than the men. The women usually talk more than the men. What do you think is the mistake here? Actually, there are two mistakes here, but it's the same mistake. I wonder if that will help you figure out what it is. Okay, did you get it right? It should be women usually talk more than men. Because we're talking in general, we don't use the. So the means specific. The women who I work with, for example, they're specific women, but here we're generalizing, so no the, with women and men in this case. Remember to let me know in the comments how many of these you get right. You don't have to park here, it's not allowed. You don't have to park here, it's not allowed. So what do you think is the mistake here? Think about the meaning of this sentence, especially the second part, it's not allowed, it's prohibited. That should help you try to figure out what the mistake is. Okay, so it should be, you mustn't park here, it's not allowed. You mustn't park here, because mustn't means it's not allowed, it's prohibited, it's against the law, but don't have to means it's not necessary. So even though have to and must in positive sentences have a similar meaning, when you put them into negative, they don't have a similar meaning. Okay, and our next sentence. I used to getting up early every day because I've been doing it for so long. Okay, so we've got a longer sentence here. Maybe it could be a bit trickier. There's different things you need to look at here. I'm not going to give you any clues in this one. We'll see if you can manage to get it right. So it should be, I'm used to getting up early. I'm used to getting up early. So with this meaning, with used to, we need the verb to be, because it means I'm accustomed to it. I'm used to it. And we have ing after that as well, because the to is a preposition. So for example, say, I used to get up early 10 years ago, then that's a different meaning. But here we need the verb to be. Okay, and their next sentence is the castle built 200 years ago. So what's the mistake in this sentence? The castle built 200 years ago. So of course it should be the castle was built 200 years ago. We need to use the passive in this case. If you're interested in learning about the passive, 2 weeks ago I did a live lesson on this. It's on YouTube, you can find it. It's about 45 minutes long. It will give you a really good understanding of how the passive works in lots of different tenses. So check it out. And this is our last sentence, our last mistake here. I want learning a new language. I want learning a new language. What's the mistake here? Okay, so of course it should be I want to learn a new language. So with some verbs after the verb, we need to use the infinitive when we have two verbs together like that, like want and learn. Other verbs where you need the infinitive after it could be expect, help, hope, learn, need, etc. So how many did you get right? Let me know in the comments.
So how many of them did you correct? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.